Hey guys, you may have seen my recent video on the Antique Radio Club of Illinois Radiofest Swap Meet, in which I walked around and picked up a few things and talked about them. Well, it turns out that there were some TV related items that I missed, and they were kind enough to set them aside for me, and they are in this box. So I thought we would take a look at them together. I have a vague idea what's in here, but I have not gone through it in any detail. Alright, let's start at the top. Industrial Training Institute, Technical Training Service, Student Worksheets, etc. Now in that video, I went through small publications and I talked a lot about the ads for training courses that you could get. Correspondence courses, learn how to fix radios and TVs. This is one of those correspondence courses from the Industrial Training Institute. ITI, I guess. Yep. Symbol of Proficiency, ITI. So, I don't know if I've seen this one, but I've seen similar ones, and they generally start pretty basic. Like, they're starting out here with taking a rope and wiggling it up and down to teach you about waveforms and resonance and oscillations and stuff like that. But they get into it pretty quickly. We're already looking at a frequency doubler just a few pages in. And resonance, tank circuits and that, and then they'll start getting more and more into it. They break it up into sections. I don't know if each one was supposed to be a week's worth of material or whatnot. Interesting to read through. Sometimes there's some, well, you might pick up some insights, and there are some nice little cartoonish drawings here and there. Well, somebody was going through this. They underlined an awful lot of stuff on these 2 pages here. So, nice to know somebody actually made some use out of this. Let's jump to the end to see how deep in they go. Oh yeah, I've seen at least this one before, because I remember seeing that cover before. Looks like we're still looking at pretty basic stuff here, like an electromagnet. Maybe these aren't in order. They all yeah, so yeah, here's something that might be handy to myself and others. How to read the dots on a microcapacitor with the various color codes. And seems to trip a lot of people up, including myself, because not everybody did it the same way. So that's that. What's this guy? 3-ring binder. Techni-Talk. So I looked at some of these too. We looked at some from Sylvania. These are from, at least the one on top is from GE. Spring 1967. So as I mentioned in that video, some of the big makers, the big companies, would put out their own publications. Generally promoting their own products, but including some useful little tidbits. Never saw one of these before. It's a neat idea. Instead of having to order your tubes individually, you could buy a box with 25 of commonly used, or tubes that commonly need to be replaced in color TVs, a thrifty pack. Oh, huh. I actually have some of these tube caddies. I never actually saw an ad for one before, or an order. And now we know what a tube caddy costs. So they're ranging from about 25 bucks to 15 bucks or so. As I say, it's a mix of promoting their own products, including, I guess, it's something you can order right out of this, with some general industry information. Ah, there's lots of good stuff in here. All the various tools, from drop cloths to pin straighteners to alignment tools, tube pullers. Stuff if you have your own shop or rack to hold tubes in that you have for sale. X-rays and color television receivers. I'm going to pause this and read through this. I get asked about X-rays all the time. I know a bit about it, but I'm curious to see what they promote as being the concern, because this was a hot topic in '67. No pun intended. This is kind of an amusing read, actually. A characteristic of certain components of all color television receivers is the capability of producing X-rays. As these X-rays serve no useful purpose, the set is designed to control possible emissions of X-rays and to contain them within the receiver by the use of shielding and other techniques. So it's my understanding that the main source of X-rays in color TVs was the shunt regulator. And that's a special kind of triode that works sort of like a Zener diode to regulate the high voltage, because it's really important in a color set, more so than a black and white. If you want to get consistent color, is to keep that high voltage at a certain level, say 27,000 volts, and stay there as the brightness varies. In a black and white set, it may say the anode voltage is 9,000 volts, but in a super bright scene, it might drop to 7,500 or so. In the dark scene, it might jump to 10,000. In other words, it goes all over the place. That would be really bad in a color receiver, so they have extra circuitry. Also, the high voltage rectifier. Basically, whenever you have super energetic electrons that are striking a surface, you can get X-rays. A lot of people think that the X-rays are coming out the front of the picture tube. And I'm not saying that there aren't any, but the main source of them is in the back of the set. And the very first high voltage shunt regulator was the 6BK4. Those were pulled from the market and redesigned. There's a later a B version and a C version, and also a totally redesigned tube to mitigate that. And they started adding lead to the high voltage rectifier and the shunt regulator tubes. As far as the front of the CRT, again, electron beams need to strike something to kick out X-rays. And if it's a black and white set, the front, if it's not aluminized, you've got phosphor and glass. And they run a much lower voltage, so I really don't think there's any, even soft X-rays coming out of a black and white picture tube. Color sets, yeah, they do have a mesh. There's a metal mesh in front. And they're going to be aluminized, as are some black and white picture tubes. So those, I think, it can possibly kick some out, but I don't think they're going to be very energetic, and later they started using leaded glass, so I really don't think that's much of an issue. I've seen people on YouTube try to use a Geiger counter and detect X-rays in front of a computer monitor or vintage TV, and they weren't getting anything. However, I don't think Geiger counters are the best tool for detecting X-rays, so I can't say for certain. I don't have any personal experience measuring them. Talk about NTSC standards, boy. Yeah, I don't want this video to be hours long, but this is chock full of good info, and again, the specific info on certain models, schematics, and so on. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. Beatman's most often needed. I do have a bunch of these already. These are compendiums competing with Sam's Photo Fact and Riders and Wallace. They chose what they determined to be popular TVs for certain years, and they republished the service info. I believe these are reprints of the original factory service info. The cool thing about this is some editions, including this one, have blueprints for the schematics. How cool is that? Fortunately, these are a bit impractical because of the format they're in. Unless you trash the binder, it's hard to work with these because they're thick and you got this huge crease in the middle, and pages tend to flop over. So I hate to say it, but if I was really wanting to use one of these to work on a set, I'd be inclined to really mash down that binder or even cut pages out. But yeah, I love these blueprints. I've never actually worked off of using one of them, but they're so pretty. Heck, I'd frame one of these and put it on the wall. So what did they deem in 1949 was a popular TV? Admiral, beloved Admiral, the one that I did in that beginner series, is covered in this. Bendix, that's kind of an odd choice. Bendix was all that big a seller. Dumont, sure, RA105. Again, I don't think it's bestseller, along with Garrod or Garrod. GE, sure, I mean, that was one of the big guys. Hallicrafters, Magnavox. Motorola, yeah. RCA, yeah, boy. A lot of sets I just worked on or I'm about to work on are covered in this. The Sentinel Portable, I think, is in here. The RCA ET241 I just worked on. The Philco 491040 I just picked up is in here. Yeah, so, and that, yeah, the GE 10T1 is very similar to these. So, neat things to have. Some years they put out multiple editions as TV got more and more popular. This is a classic book. I believe I already have it. Actually, I know I already have a copy of this. Television by Zworkin and Morton. I think it's quite as good as the Grob book, but it is a very good book and has great pictures of early television equipment. Oh yeah, I posted a photo of this in my community tab on my page a while ago. They made a demonstration CRT that was gigantic. They confirmed what I thought too. So they made this crazy large, something like 36 inches in diameter. But it has to have a vacuum pump running while it's being operated. They say there are 5.5 tons of pressure on the glass. And there's a bit. Oh, it's 31 inches. So there's the whole setup. I don't know if one of these still exists anywhere in the world. Heck, they probably made one of them. Anything is that? Anyways, that's kind of fun stuff you can find in these old books. So we got a bunch of Sam's photo facts. Oh yeah, this is part of the reason I wanted to make this video. Is I did take a peek in here and I saw this. I have never ever seen one of these before. I had no idea this existed. It's a Hallicrafters, and the receiver is separate from the picture tube. So this looks similar. It's hard to tell in this photo. It looks like the Hallicrafters I did recently, where there's push button tuning, but where the screen would be in that little 7-inch shot, I believe that's a speaker. And then the picture tube is in this, and this will just have the deflection circuits, and the receiver and audio is up in that. It's a model 511. Oh, here we got a better shot of it. Here. So, wild. If anybody has ever actually seen one of these, I'd be curious to hear about it, because that would be something to have. That would be something. It's like a tandem set, sort of, the later Philco predictor, where you have the screen separate from the tuner. I don't know how long the cable could be between these, but put this on here next to your armchair, and you put the screen 10 feet away or something like that. Neat. Let's take a look at this manila folder with my name on it. I think I've shown some of these in the past. That's put up by Riders. Dubious use, value. What this is going to be full of is pictures of, if your TV screen looks like this might be what the problem is. I say dubious value because it can vary so much from set to set, model to model, make to make. And once you have some grasp on how TVs work, some of them are really basic stuff, like if the picture is rolling vertical, adjust the vertical control. If it's rolling horizontally, adjust the horizontal control. If it's too dim, turn the brightness up. Like, yeah, get that. But some of them can be handy, like if you saw that your image was being crushed on the right-hand side, what might be causing that? Adjust the horizontal drive control, replace the horizontal output tube, that kind of stuff. Jack Dyer, he was a legendary TV serviceman who put out a number of publications, and I'm sure he wrote articles in a number of the publications with weekly tales of working on TVs. So he put out some periodical, he took some of tips and tricks he learned over the years, and he would put out these books. Service Clinic called them. Some of these, there might just be a compilation of articles from publications, or I'm not sure. So these start out with these sections. People would like write into him. I have a Motorola TV, chassis TS902. It has a bad picture tube. Can I replace it? It has a bad 19-inch. Can I replace it with a newer all-glass 21-inch? And then he would answer their questions. I didn't know he went back this far in time. He's talking about 12 LP4s and KS34 chassis. KCS34B. I just restored one of those a few weeks ago. Funny, but basically, at least in this section, all these pictures are about putting larger picture tubes in old sets. 12-inch to 16, 12 to 17, 22 to 27. You can imagine people spent a lot of money on their TVs, and as time went on, picture tubes got much bigger. They wanted to continue using their old set, and they would have a much bigger picture. Ooh, this is an original owner's manual. It'd be wild if this was actually for a Crosley set I have or have worked on. I don't think it is, though. But again, they show you, if your picture looks like this, turn down the contrast. If you've got sound info getting into the video, adjust the fine-tuning. Oh, here we go through the knobs. Yeah, talking UHF, this will be a little bit newer than the kind of sets I encounter. But yeah, definitely hang on to that. Original owner's manuals are not easy to come by. So here's the second volume with the Service Clinic. Oh, it tells you what's actually covered in here. Front cover. Nice. A little advertising from Stancor. Neat picture on the front. Ooh, gotta hang on to this too. Sencor service info. It is really, really hard to find service info. So for some of these early pieces of equipment, companies aren't around anymore. They might have never published it. It was just a schematic and a parts list, but hey, it's just that is very valuable. So it's for the CG135 Deluxe Color Generator. Amazing that they can make a color, I'm going to assume color bar generator with just a handful of transistors and some crystals, or a crystal. Huh. Speaking of service info, if anybody has a TS3, here is the Heath Kit manual. Heath Kit, they made stuff, you build it yourself. Build your own test equipment from a kit of parts. They are still around. Somebody did buy the rights to Heath Kit. If you go to their website, they are selling kits again. But nothing quite like that anymore. Wow, that could do some damage with this book. Cathode Ray Tube and its applications, 3rd edition revised. I'm guessing this is pretty old. It was July 1960. Handwritten inside. Oh, that's why it's heavy. Ooh. That is some really nice heavy grade paper for the images. Check that out. That is an 8-gun cathode ray tube. Wow. Usually for very specialized uses. 1959. That would account for the weight. At least most of these pages, they're really glossy and really heavy grade paper. So they're talking about the very beginnings of a cathode ray tube with the Crookes tube and stuff like that. And then we get the scope CRTs, I'm sure, and television picture tubes. Oh, what else? A bunch of Sams. There's that Helicrafters T-54 again. Helicrafters model. Boy, I've never seen that. That was pretty high end for Helicrafters. Built-in phonograph. Another one. Got the Helicrafters jackpot here. I think this same set was sold by about a dozen different makers, all with different names, but that knob layout on the side is so recognizable. You know, some of these smaller brands didn't make their own sets. They bought chassis and rebranded them, or made their own cabinets for them. Yeah, this is all Helicrafters stuff. What's that? I thought that was a color set for a second there, not just a big black and white. Ooh, what's in here? Oh, more Sams. But not Helicrafters. Ooh, look at that. Wow. True tone. Okay. Fold away porthole. Wild. Never seen one of those in person. And radios, yeah, Sam's did radio photo effects too. Ooh, alright, I have this set, and I don't think I have this photo fact for it. Got this at Early Television Swap Meet a couple years ago, and I'm very, very much looking forward to diving into it. It's a Bendix TV, and a rather interesting model with push-button tuning down below. So we're going to put that aside. Auto radios. Oh, here's a GE you don't see too often. So there's an 810 that's a relatively common model, but they made an 814 that has a is that octagonal screen opening there. Not quite so often seen. Let's just squeeze a little bit more viewing area out of it. It went from rectangular to octagonal. Another very, well, I guess I'd call it rare. A Videodyne. I think it's a 7-inch set. Very unique styling. Looks like a radio cabinet. Don't know if I've ever seen one in person. No, geez, that's a 12-inch set. Looks deceptively small, but that would have been pretty substantial. And we have an HP 45. That's a quick reference guide. General radio catalog. Ooh. If this is who I think it is, I'm pretty sure it is. They made some really nice looking test equipment. Going back to 1915. This is their 1961 catalog. I've got a couple pieces of this from an old ham estate. Yeah. Wow. That's why it's neat to see these. You get to see what this stuff costs. Holy cow. A mega ohm bridge with built-in AC power supply. $415 in 1961. Also known as a Megger. So it's an ohm meter that can measure high resistance very accurately. So they did a lot of bridges and very accurate, very sensitive equipment. Yeah, now that I recognize it, I have one or two of their bridges. Not the easiest things to use, but I guess for the time, super accurate. Capacitance test bridge, $650. Yeah. This would be your high-end test equipment for today. They actually call their high-end capacitance meter the sedan, and it's $1,720 for this guy. So the way all these bridge circuits work is you're measuring an internal known component against an unknown, and you adjust a control to get a null. And when you hit a null, it means the two values are equivalent, and you read off the meter the actual value of the device. Now these super accurate ones, the one that I have and I played around with it, there are several dials, so you read one digit off of this dial, the next digit off another dial, the next digit off another dial. So, not the most convenient thing to use. Well, this one's, geez, you get different frequency models. So their 1,000 cycle per second model, the Sully, is $2,375, $1961. Crazy, and now you'd probably find them in a ham fest for $5. Yeah, I'll show it someday. I got to dig it out. I don't think it quite works right, or at least I can't figure out how to use it. But I have one that's something like that. I think I have a military version, and it was mucked with. Oh yeah, and I do have one of their null meters where it's literally just the null part. It's the meter and some knobs, but you have to hook it up to an external device. Well, there's at least some of this stuff runs off of batteries too, just to eliminate any possibility of hum or noise or anything. Admittance meter. Oh, man, I could look through this all day. I've never seen this catalog from them. I didn't know they had such an extensive line of stuff. So sold all kinds of parts. I think I have this. Again from that ham estate. There was a strobe scope in there. So you see this again and again and again in their equipment. They came up with, I guess, this sensitive type of meter, and they used it in a lot of their equipment. Oh, let's see what they charge for a standard capacitor or inductor. The Bigfoot, the Briar, the Creek, the Befit. So they made their reference. So what these are super accurate capacitors. They might have out of polystyrene and mica. And you get paper too. It's the cheapest one. Fuel gauge tester, man, they made all kinds of stuff. Standard inductor. What do those go for? Oh, not too bad. $100. Well, yeah, the bigger the inductance, the more it costs, up to $225. I had polystyrene caps then. Those are pretty nice. Geez, a precision decade capacitor, $695. This would be the stuff you'd use in laboratories. This is not something you'd use on your your service bench. Wow. I don't know what that costs. Or I guess, okay, it's a whole bunch of these all put together. I see. Oh no, there. $6 grand. A car, basically. Or a couple cars, maybe. Alright. We're almost done. A couple more folders to go through. Okay, radio news. I am not familiar with this publication. May 1945. Nice to see a color photo on the cover. Oh wow. Yeah, this would be, hopefully this video won't get flagged and taken down, but yes, this would be wartime. Ooh, they have color ads. Nice. Yeah, take some time to flip through this. Again, I like looking at the ads, and which is what these are predominantly inside, but they are fantastic ads. Coil Craft, this looks a little older. I don't know if I'd want my face that close to that device. Geez, 1936? Wow. It's pretty old school stuff in here for sure. The electron image tube. Yeah, so I guess this would be the era of the Farnsworth versus RCA. So this is all about his working in his camera tube. Farnsworth had his image dissector tube. Hugo Gernsback editor. Unless he went back that far. It's blue glass tube. I think part of the reason I avoid picking these up is that it's a big distraction from getting stuff done. To look through all these. I think a lot of these are scanned and available online at worldradiohistory.com, or is it .net? What time to be live? Just such rapid advancement in technology. And finally, I think this is going to be more. Yeah, but this is a lot newer. I think this is from the 60s. Radio electronics. Man, they torment me with these ads. All the stuff that I need, but I can't get. So, yeah, good stuff. Let's see. So this one. So they would have construction articles in these. Some of them we get pretty darn advanced. A transistor 10-watt audio amp. When customers try to fix their TVs, that should probably be an amusing read. What do I need to start TV servicing? Is that picture tube really gone? That'll be another good read. So I go through these. If I find more interesting stuff, I'll set them aside and make another video on it. If it interests you guys, you seem to like me going through this old stuff. I should get a kick out of going through it. That that's kind of a famous guitar. They called it the Bread Maker. I'm probably wrong on that. Solid-state caliber generators. I wonder if that Suncor we just saw the schematic from might be that guy. And what's this? An old Magnavox ad somebody clipped out and laminated. Alright, that is going to be it. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if there's anything in particular you'd like to see me go into in more detail, I'd be happy to pull one of these out and flip through it a little bit slower. Thanks for watching.